Hey, welcome back to my channel. This is Akila James coming to you with another video. Today I want to talk to you about how to speak or train with Gen Z athletes. I know this is a new time now and we have to be able to communicate with our athletes the best way we can. We want to get them to be at their prime and we want to deepen our communication skills as coaches. So let's dive into this video. A little background story. I just recently coached 1 year at the University of Arizona as an assistant women's tennis coach. So I feel like I have enough exposure with different athletes, different personalities, and I want to tell you what works, what doesn't work, and really what really works, right? So let's jump in. I had a great time, by the way. It is my alma mater, so I have a special affinity for that university, as well as we are doing very well in a lot of sports. Big ups to men's basketball because we are one in the country. Woo, woo! Let's maintain this all the way to March Madness and let's kill it at March Madness. Other sports, let's keep going up. We're on the up and up. So number one, I feel like with student athletes in the generation of Gen Z, you have to meet them where they are. You can't speak to them too harshly because then they're very sensitive, and not in a bad way, but they're more emotional than when we were growing up, whereas our coaches would be rough with us. Our coaches don't have to pay us any attention. And both sides have plus and minuses, but I will say meet them where they are, figure out why they're reacting the way they're reacting, figure out if you can get to them. What conversations can you have with them to connect with them, to make them feel at home? Because essentially a lot of student athletes, they come to these universities and it's so big and they get lost. They don't know anything and they feel a lot of pressure. And sometimes we as coaches are insensitive to the fact that they are feeling these feelings, as well as maintaining, the rules of the school and maintaining the rules with your student athlete. Another thing with this topic is, as a coach, you have to be able to adapt to your player's style, right? Know that if this person is a servant volleyer, yes, you might want to teach them how to stay on the baseline, but it might take a few times, and be patient with yourself and with the student athlete to know it might take a few times because they're not used to this play. I'm not telling you to change your values or their values, change your principles, your morals, but I'm telling you to find different ways in how to communicate with your student athlete. Number two is to connect with them. Connect with them on a level where they feel comfortable. Make sure that you know their favorite foods, know their favorite colors, know their favorite countries, know why they're playing tennis, know their why for everything that they're doing, why they want to study this major, what skills they do have, build them up, make them feel comfortable with where they are. Connection is essential and is top priority. As we know, when we recruit these student athletes, a lot of times the recruiting stops once they commit to the university. Continue to recruit them. That's why you have your full team to help with this process. So let's say the head coach might have recruited fully or the assistant coach might have recruited fully. But when the student athlete gets to the school, make sure that they're surrounded by people that they can connect with. A lot of universities have psychologists. A lot of universities have different fraternities or sororities within their major that can help them as well. Cope with the fact that student athletes, they're going through another phase in their life. They want to do well, they don't want to do well, they feel bored, they're not feeling bored. So be able to connect with your student athlete and know how to meet their needs. We want our student athletes to be the best version of themselves. They make bad decisions. Don't put them down. Scold them, yes, but don't put them down. Let them know maybe perhaps how you handled the situation when you were in their shoes. And essentially that's how they grow. Number three. This is a big one as well. Empower their confidence. A lot of times you wake up feeling differently as a person, as a student athlete. You come today, you have fitness at 6 a.m. You might have fitness at 5 a.m. You might have tennis from 4 to 6. You might have, individuals at 11 to 12. So make sure that you feed their confidence, because a lot of times they're going to lose, but show them how to lose, because there's a way to lose a tennis match and not let it linger until the next match. Of course, we know every coach, every student athlete has its own style, but there's not enough ways to build on your style, whether you're a student athlete or you're a coach. Our job as coaches are to bring the best out of them. Let's do that. Number four, let's challenge their entitlement. Challenging their entitlement means holding them accountable for the commitment that they decided to pursue. With that being said, if they are late to practice, let's put down some ground rules so that they know the importance of not being late. You got it? If they're cutting classes, let's put down some ground rules where they have to do study hall. Make them feel uncomfortable. As coaches, I know in this time it's very hard. There's a fine line between making a student athlete feel comfortable with also not making them feel like they're a mess up. But at the same time, we have to put rules in place. Rules are here for a reason. And as long as the student athlete knows and understands and has someone to give that outlet to, I feel like they're in a better position. When I was there at that time, we had different challenges on the court physically that they had to overcome, and just being a listening ear helps them feel confident enough to overcome those battles. So whereas before they might not have been able to run a 6-minute mile, now they're able to run a 5-minute and 45-second mile and make them feel great about it, because at the end of the day there are a million people trying to get their spot, and they know that, and they do want to do well for you because nobody wants to feel uncomfortable. So challenge their entitlement and don't feel like you can't push it a little bit or not push it. And know when to say sorry. Know when to say, you know what, I did too much. I did too much, Akila. I did too much. Like, I'm sorry about that. I hold you accountable. I hold you to such a high esteem that I went too far. All right, keep going. You're doing a great job. And just keep encouraging them. But also know when they're not doing a good job, lay down the hammer. Number 5, genuinely listen to their interests. A lot of student athletes, they genuinely want to know more about you, about your character, what makes you a coach, what makes you a person. And it's important that you connect with them in that way. Now, if you're so stuck in your ways as a coach and you don't want to connect with that student athlete, remember when you were a student athlete, you wanted someone to empathize with you. You wanted someone to make sure that you felt good about the decision that you decided to commit to that university. So find out what they like, what they don't like, what makes them them. Tell them a little bit about you. A lot of coaches don't open up to their student athletes for whatever reason, but make sure you open up to them because they want to know that you're a person at the end of the day. Number 6, be able to explain why and everything. And this is a very fine line. So I hope student athletes are listening in too. As a coach, you want to be able to let my student athlete know, but we also understand that our student athlete is so young that they might not be able to understand why we're doing these things. Why are you playing 4 instead of 2? Why are you playing 1 instead of 6? Why are you not playing at all? Why do you have to go through some physical changes before you make the lineup? But at the same time, that's where the communication and that openness is available. Come to your coach's office. Don't feel threatened. Don't feel scared to come talk to your coaches. A lot of times the coaches are also trying to make it comfortable for you as a student athlete. But sometimes you guys don't want to talk to coaches. Talk to your coaches. Talk to the people that are your parents for that period of time. And student athletes, be able to identify why you're doing what you're doing. What are your whys? Why did you decide to come to this university? Always have that at the forefront of your brain. I know it sounds repetitive because it's like, it's a privilege to be at the University of Arizona. It's a privilege to be at Clemson University. It's a privilege to be at Stanford University. But at the end of the day, it is a privilege because there's so many athletes or students that want to come to the school that can't get there, but you are there. So make sure that you are using the time wisely that you have here. All we want to do is help our student athletes. Number 7, create a hard, fun working environment. So hard work matters. You need to be able to work hard. You need to be able to have blood, sweat, and tears on the court. You need to be able to do what? Cry sometimes, yell sometimes, scream sometimes, get angry sometimes, be very emotional, be intentional about what you decided to commit to. You decided to play tennis, you decided to play basketball, you decided to play lacrosse at this university. Know that it's going to take hard work, but at the same time, know that your hard work is going to pay off. And when you play at a championship, or when you play at a tournament, you're going to feel so empowered. You're going to feel so good that you decided to stick it through. Remember that. As coaches, remember to make it fun. Don't let it just be drilling. Remember to talk. Remember to have breaks. Remember that even if it seems like a little, they're losing. We need to train harder. It could be something so small as, hey, they're hungry. It could be something very minute. So remember, always communicate. Sorry about the lighting, by the way. The sun is moving up and down and all around. let's get back to it. Number 8, value student athletes' development in all facets. So whether it's spiritual, whether it's emotional, mental, whether it's whatever, value that. If they decide that they need to go to church, let's work around it. If they decide that they need to study more, let's work around it. Remember, this is a business. Let's be clear about this. It is a business. However, businesses have to run. In order to run, we need you. You need us. It's a partnership, really, because at the end of the day, as much as it can be super gruesome, it can be super hard, being a student athlete is the best decision I've ever made in my life, and I'm sure it's the best decision you're going to make or that you are making in your life. Just know that you have to set boundaries, okay? You have to train hard. That's non-negotiable. That's something that you need to know. You have to communicate with your coaches as well, student athletes. You have to tell us if you have an exam and you can't make it to practice so that we can get you a dean's excuse when you're traveling. 2 different points, by the way. You have to tell us. You have to communicate. You have to speak to your counselors, your advisors. We have these things in place for you. Everything we do is for you. Even though you might not feel appreciated all the time, everything we do is for you. We love waking up every morning, even if it's 5 a.m., to train you. We love that because at the end of the day, we both feel it. It's not one person feeling it. And I think that is the key to this thing, is that sometimes a student athlete feels like they're the only one that's going through it, and sometimes a coach feels like that they're the only ones going through it. But all in all, you need to have that family environment where you can communicate, where the communication is open, where you can talk about what you feel, what you don't feel. Now there's even some programs that allow coaches to have psychologists, which is pretty neat because we never had that growing up. Be grateful and value the athlete's development as coaches, because this is to coaches. Number 9, find ways to relate to your student athlete. Find ways. This kind of goes into communicating and knowing what they like and seeing what they like, because if you can find a way to relate to them, they feel more at home, more at peace, and they will want to do what you ask them to do. You will feel really good in a relationship when you put sweetener on that relationship rather than vinegar. Know that when you make someone feel special, make them feel worthy, make them feel great, they'll do anything. But if you make them feel constantly that they're not worth it, that they're not doing great, they will have a negative outlook on it. So please be able to relate with your student athlete. Finally, we've come to the end. Number 10, be consistent as coaches. Sometimes we don't communicate, we don't tell the student athlete what we need them to do, and then they're confused. A lot of times they're confused. I'm not telling you to over-explain, but I'm telling you, explain enough information that you can release and communicate that we can't tell you everything because it is a development place. We have to make sure that we're protecting you as well as giving you the rightful information. So we as coaches need to be more consistent with our players, because sometimes we decide to change something and they don't know why. They didn't even know that that was a problem. Like if I tell you, you need to start volleying this way, they didn't even know that was a problem. They were volleying another way. So we just need to be more open and more considerate and be more consistent with the drills and everything that we're doing, and tell them and let them know that there is an end. There is an end. You will feel great. You will feel great. You feel terrible now. You can hate me now, but I guarantee you in the end, you will feel great. Well, that wraps up my 10 tips on how to support Gen Zs at this time. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And for more videos, please let me know in the comment section. Bye. I'm here to show coaches a good way to make your athletes in this time feel comfortable, because you want to feel good and I want to feel good. Well, I'm not an athlete, but the athlete wants to feel good and the coach wants to feel good. So let's work together.